I am the Lord, your healer. And I sent my word, and I healed your disease. I am the Lord, your healer. This is his word. I am the God that healeth thee. I am the Lord, your healer. And I sent my word, and I healed your disease. I am the Lord, your healer. You sent your word, and you healed my disease. You are the Lord, my healer. Yes, you are.
Whether therefore ye eat or drink, or whatsoever ye do, do all to the glory of God. Good evening and welcome to another edition of Nature's Way here on Waves 96.3 FM. I must apologize. Persons were not hearing at the beginning. So, welcome to Nature's Way. And I trust that you have been having a wonderful day. I just want to say thanks to Septon for, for taking us here. We were at a funeral service and, we had to rush back to get here to be on the radio this evening. I just want to say thanks to Septon and company for taking us here. We have been looking at the skeletal muscular system, and we are going to be continuing with that discussion this evening. So please stay tuned. Before we get into the discussion proper, we're just going to ask God's guidance, and that He will touch everything in studio so that everything will work in accordance to His will. Let us pray. Our kind, compassionate Heavenly Father, we are truly grateful for your mercies towards us. We are grateful, Lord, that you have spared our lives and that you have granted us journeying mercies. As we are about to go into this discussion, I pray, dear God, that you will touch everything and let everything be done decently and in order. Touch the hearts and minds of your people, and I pray, dear God, that you will help them to be receptive and this information may be useful to them. Thank you for all you do on our behalf. In Jesus' name, I say thanks. Amen. A lot of persons are passing these days. We have attended a lot of funerals, and funerals these days it just comes like another thing. And it is sad that persons attend the funeral services, and just the way they attended is the same way they go back home. No urgency, no need, no need to surrender their lives to God. Listeners, viewers, we cannot just live as if there is no God. We cannot just use God as convenience. We cannot just um, want God to fit in our lifestyle and to fit in our box or in our bubble. We have to surrender our lives to Him. We have to make the sacrifice. We have to take a deliberate action to serve Him, because we were born in sin and shaped in iniquity. This program on the radio, Nature's Way, it's about health, and it is also about our spiritual life and health, because God has given us instructions on how to live. He has given us in His words, Genesis 1 and verse 29, He states in His words that we are to eat fruits, nuts, and grains. In Psalm 104 and verse 14, He says the herbs is for the service of mankind. The herbs, and these are the herbs that we mention week to week on this program. Genesis 3 and verse 18, that reminds us that the herbs were added after sin, and we must do vegetables, and we must remember that God is the one who created us. He's the one who made us. He knows our bodies. He knows how our bodies function, and He knows the things that are good for our bodies. You know, I may not have a PhD, but I know that God is the great physician. And God has given us instructions on how to live, how to eat, what to do, and all of that. So it behooves us to be obedient to Him. After all, He is our creator or manufacturer, if you will. So let us remember that God is our creator. He loves us with an everlasting love. And this is why He has said in His word, Beloved, I wish above all things that thou mayest prosper and be in health, even as our souls prosper. So it is twofold, it's our physical health and our spiritual health. All right. So we must remember that things may come upon us because of the lives that we live, the things that we do, the things that we eat, and the things that we put inside and on our bodies. So God has given us the instructions. Let us be obedient and follow His instructions. All right. So if we are going to be continuing with our rheumatism. We looked at rheumatism and rheumatoid arthritis last week, and now we're going to be looking at acute articular rheumatism. I'm just going to be looking, it's the same symptoms. We're going to be looking at some natural remedies that we can use to treat with this situation, and some practical things that we can do. All right, so remember we said rheumatism, the symptoms include pain and muscle stiffness and tenderness in the soft tissue structures, afflictions of muscle tendon, joint, bone, or nerve that results in discomfort and disability from the stiffness of the joints or muscles, pain on motion, etc. Now, this category often includes rheumatoid arthritis and the other things that we are going to be looking at, degenerative joint diseases and so on. All right, and remember that the causes, as we said, is excess acid that is settles in the joints, and this causes pain and inflammation. And there are some that are really acute, and we have to treat with it. And some of the remedies that we can look at is generally rest, absolute rest in bed. That means we have to stay in bed for a period of time, take the weight off the joints and muscles, and make sure that you get adequate rest, because it's overuse of the joints and overuse of the muscles. So we have to rest them for a while. All right. Abstinence from all solid food for a few days, not for long period, but just for a few days until you feel um, strong again. And that is for acute articular rheumatism. Now, you will abstain from all solid foods for a few days. And what you do is you can eat only ripe fruits and have fruit juices and well dextrinized or well cooked cereals and malted meat foods. Avoid meats, animal broths like chicken broth and all of that, beef or tea or extracts, eggs, oysters, cheese, and all foods that are rich in protein. The foods that are rich in protein, but you can have foods that has protein, but not those that are too rich in protein. All right. Usually, inflammation, as we said, is one of the symptoms. So, to combat inflammation, in the joints, secure active cutaneous circulation by hot blanket pack and sweating wet sheet pack. Now, these are the two. So, you have hot and cold. And remember, we said last week that you are to interval with the hot and cold. All right. So, hot fomentations to the joints, followed by heating compress. Keep the patient sweating until acute pain ceases and temperature falls. Prevent prevent extension of the disease to the heart, lungs, and pleura and meninges. What we need to do is remember, because there's a fever involved, so we have to do a little prevention. So we need to, you know, make sure that the other organs of our bodies are not affected. So what we're going to be doing is promoting activity of the skin and kidneys, building up the general vital resistance, and by carefully administered cold applications. The hot blanket pack, hot enemas, hot trunk pack, following each hot application by a cold mitten friction. So it's the hot and cold again. Administered carefully to all portions of the body that are free from local inflammation. So, in order to get rid of, to prevent, sorry, the extension of the disease to the other organs, like, for example, the heart, lungs, we need to do the hot and cold, hot blanket pack and the cold mitten friction. Encourage elimination. Now, the prolonged sweating bath given by means of the hot blanket pack should be continued for several hours. So, you want the sweating to happen. This is a most valuable measure. The patient should not be taken out of the pack suddenly, but gradually. Then, cold mitten friction should be applied to each part until good reaction occurs before uncovering another portion. After rubbing, the surface should be carefully protected by a flannel blanket. Free water drinking and large enema must be done twice daily. Now, this is the elimination process. So you're going to be getting rid of those that built up blood, because remember, the inflammation um, has to do with poor circulation as well. And the pain, those areas of the joints that are painful, these measures promote circulation. All right. Pains in the joints, hot blanket pack again, followed by dry wrapping or a dry pack, fomentation to joints, and you are going to repeat this every 2 hours. During the interval in between, a well protected heating compress applied as soon as the fomentation is removed. So you can smear the joints with some Vaseline as well, and do that on a daily basis. Yes, thank you. Um, yes, my producer is also giving a big up to Septon Price and Terry Price. Thank you for joining us. We are reminded by our producer that remember that turmeric root and ginger root are excellent for inflammation. Yes, taken together, they are very, very good. They are very good. They work very well together. And cayenne pepper is also very good. Yes, because these promote, these are the cayenne pepper, the ginger and turmeric are to combine is a good pulling agent. The cayenne pepper is also a good agent for circulation. So it helps with pain as well. And it helps with, breaking up the inflammation so that you have good circulation and eliminating of pain. Provost, no, let me go to fever first. So we know that acute articular rheumatism comes with fever as well. So a hot blanket pack continued by full sweating, followed by a sweating wet sheet pack that is prolonged for several hours. And this is the best means of lowering the temperature. When the temperature is very high, the neutral bath at about 92 to 95 degrees Fahrenheit may be employed. Ice compress to the head and neck is also applied. Cold mitten friction or cold towel rub may be given after the sweating wet sheet pack or the hot blanket pack. And this is done 2 to 3 times daily. All right, because you want to get that temperature down. And these are the measures, the most effective measures of getting the temperature down. Provokes perspiration, and for the early stages, you don't worry about the perspiration. You don't need to check that because that's the early stage. So what you're going to do is just simply wipe the patient or the affected person with a dry cloth. Just wipe the perspiration. Now, if the temperature is very high, to 104 to 105 degrees Fahrenheit, the graduated bath may be given. The temperature should not be lowered below 85 degrees Fahrenheit. As the temperature is lowered, the patient should be rubbed with sufficient vigor to prevent chilling. So you rub it with a little more effort, rub the patient with some effort so that will warm up the patient and prevent chilling. The cool enema may also be used in connection with the fomentation to the back. Be careful not to check the perspiration suddenly, at least until all acute symptoms, which include pain, high temperature, etc., subsides. All right. So when the sweating or the perspiration, you want the person to perspire. So it's an indication that the temperature is going down. So you want the person you're going to encourage the perspiration. All right. So during convalescence or during recovery, encourage blood making by graduated cold baths, especially cold mitten friction, because you want the circulation to continue. Now, hyperpyrexia, which is elevation of systematic temperature, and this is usually above 104 to 106 degrees Fahrenheit. You are going to prevent it by ice cap or cold mitten friction at 50 to 40. You want to bring it, or cold towel rub at 60 to 50 degrees Fahrenheit. And you're going to do this 2 to 3 times a day. When the temperature rises above 101.5 or so degrees, this may proceed with cold application and by very hot sponging, because remember, you want the um, the temperature not to elevate, all right, above those 104 to 106. So you're going to use the cold mitten friction at 60 degrees Fahrenheit and given every 2 hours and continuing until temperature falls to 101 degrees Fahrenheit. Continue application to each part until reddened, so as to prevent retrostasis. Graduated baths may be resorted to in abstinent cases. Also, the cool enema. In all cases, apply ice cap and ice color to offset cerebral congestion and coma, because you don't want the person to fall in a coma. So you're going to give them the cool enema and the ice cap because you want the circulation. All right. Um, Good evening to those who have joined us on YouTube. Welcome. And I trust that you will stay with us. And I trust that the information may prove useful. If it's not for you, maybe for a friend. You can share with a friend. All right. Endocarditis and pericarditis, which is the infection of the heart membranes. Now, the hot fomentation, and it should not be very hot, should be applied over the heart for a half a minute at intervals for 1 hour. So you're going to do this for an hour, but it's a half a minute at intervals. So you're going to do it for half a minute, then you're going to take a break, then you're going to do it again, and you're going to keep watching the time. You do this for about an hour. All right. This should be followed by the ice pack or cold compress above the heart. All right. So remember, once we do the heat, we are going to do the cold because they work good together. They work very well together. Cerebral rheumatism. And for this, you are going to do the ice to head activity, prolonged neutral baths at 92 degrees Fahrenheit. And you're going to do this 3 times a day. All right. So ice the head and the neck. So you're going to put it at the head, the forehead here, and then you're going to put it at the back of the neck. And I'm touching my forehead and I'm touching my back for those who might, the back of my neck, for those who are not able to see. All right, that's the indication. So you're going to repeat this 2 to 3 times per day. And remember, you're going to do the hot and the cold. But in this case, you want the sweating sheet pack because this is what you want. You want the temperature to go down. All right. To prevent permanent damage of the joints, you are going to do simple flexions, or in other words, you're going to do some simple movements, nothing too robust or vigorous. You're going to be doing some simple movements of the joints as soon as the fever declines. So when the fever goes down, you're going to just do some simple movements, nothing to raise up your temperature again, because you know when you're in pain, your temperature rise and you get so you come up now with high blood pressure because your blood pressure rises as well. So you don't want that. So you're just going to do some simple muscle and joint movements. So in the affected area where the joints are, you are just going to do some simple rotations, maybe up and down. And for those joints that can go in circular movement, you do that a little, maybe for your wrist or for your ankle, back and forth and side, and do some simple movements, nothing strenuous, nothing to send up your pressure in simpler terms. All right, so you don't want to do that. So short applications of alternate compress or alternate douche 2 to 3 times daily after convalescence begins. Well, with a well protected heating compress during the interval in between. So that is the period of recovery. So you're going to do some heating compress and then some cold compress, all right, in between. So articular effusions, which alternate compress or alternate douche 3 times a day. Well protected heating compress during the interval in between, and you're going to do a little massage and a little bandaging because you're going to be putting now some fomentation on the area, that wet moist substance, and you're going to bandage the area for a while. And you're going to, when you remove the fomentation, then you're going to do the hot and cold again. And you would be surprised how well they work. All right. We are going to be we're going to be looking at the acute muscular rheumatism. We just looked at the acute articular rheumatism, some natural remedies for that. While the Lord has not promised his people exemption from trials, because they do come and they do come to make us stronger, he has promised that with which is far better, he has said, as thy days, so shall thy strength be. Deuteronomy 33 and verse 25. So even though he allows the trials to come, he has a way of escape. And not just to escape the trial, but he strengthens us to go through the trials, to overcome these trials. And this can only make us better. All right. So don't be perturbed when the trials come and sickness come. It's a way of waking us up, jolting us back to reality that, listen, I am doing something that I am not supposed to be doing. And God does not want that. He wants you to recognize, to realize that, listen, you are doing something that is not good for you and you need to desist. All right. When we go outside of the laws of health, when we break the laws of health, we get sick. And God doesn't want us to do that. So that is why he has given us the 8 laws of health, and he has given us these applications in order for us to be better. So as was said, we're looking at the acute muscular rheumatism now, and we're going to be looking at some remedies. And if we have time, we can look at maybe one or two others that we are in this segment that we are going to be looking at, because this topic, skeletal muscular system, is a very wide topic and it covers a wide cross section. So as we go through, I trust that you take some notes or you listen in if you can remember, and you can go back on YouTube and listen to the program again to get something that you may have missed. But the information, I find, is vital, because I have a situation with my wrist that I have been working on. And I can tell you, friends, that it has been working, because using the turmeric and the ginger together It is very good. And then sometimes on occasion, I may drink some cayenne pepper, and you would be surprised. The pain subsides, the circulation is back, and then I can use my hands freely without pain. So it's not like it's isolated. It works. It works. And a lot of times when we share here on Nature's Way, when we share here on Nature's Way, we use these remedies as well. All right, so we have testimonials. It is now 5:30 p.m. Yes, you are tuned into the Nature's Way program here on Waves 96.3 FM. Thank you for joining us on the radio, and thank you for joining us on YouTube. And I trust, I crave your indulgence. I really, really hope that persons, I know in the past that persons have listened and have, gained some vital information for situations that they have been going through. And I trust that persons have been really listening and taking the information down, because this information is good. We can treat with ourselves prayerfully, trusting in God, and He can heal us because He is our healer. All right, so acute muscular rheumatism, and one of the most vital natural remedies is nutrition, is our diet. And remember, we always say diet plays a key role in how healthy we are. So nutrition, a nourishing dietary that excludes meats, and nourishing dietary that excludes meat. So avoid fruits and vegetables when you are suffering from acute muscular rheumatism. Fruits and vegetables are very good for us, but when we are treating with these situations, there are times when we need to um, eliminate them from our diet for that period while we are going through the healing at the same meal. All right. You can have the fruits, but do make sure you're not having the vegetables at the same time. And you can have the vegetables, but make sure you are not having the fruits at the same time. And fruits, as we know, are anything that have seeds. All right. So we want to avoid those things. A lot of us at times, when we are sick, um, we don't want to have these together. One of the things that is common when we have our vegetables, we normally have our tomatoes and our cucumbers with them. But when we are not well, when we have these situations treating with, we are to avoid those fruits. Then those are the ones that have vegetables, like our tomato that have seeds, like our tomatoes and our cucumbers. So we are to remember to eliminate having those together. All right. In those foods as well that are indigestible foods and dishes, those teas and coffees, you're not supposed to consume coffee anyway. Condiments and those salty things and those things that are high in sugar and those excess salts. Now, and then what you do, you have to have those graduated cold full baths. All right. And you are to do that on a daily basis because you want to promote circulation, you want to eliminate inflammation, and you want to feel better, rejuvenate your joints, and so on. And these fruits, most of these fruits, with they promote inflammation. So you don't want to have those. All right. So you stay away from those and don't have them together when you're eating your lettuce and your lightly steamed cabbage and so on. Don't add the tomato. or the cucumber to those. Have the lettuce alone and have the cabbage alone. And if you need to eat the tomato, have the tomato alone and or have the cucumber alone. All right. Increase general vital resistance. This is what you want to do. So this is the most important indication of this disease. So as in malarial infection and in acute rheumatism, and other infectious diseases. Short sweating procedures of any sort, full hot baths, steam baths, etc., followed by a short and graduated cold application are the most important general measures. And remember, we said the hot and cold works well together. So you do the full hot baths and then you do the cold baths. If you're going to do a steam bath, you still have to do the graduated cold applications. All right, because you want the circulation to continue. Swelling of the joints, and this is one of the main symptoms for the acute muscular rheumatism. The best thing for this is the fomentation, and what you're going to do is 3 times a day, and during the intervals in between, apply heating compress. So you can wrung dry and well protected by plastic. You may put the fermentation, and then you can have maybe put a bit of plastic over it, and then you wrap that. All right, and you have that there for a while. When you remove the fermentation, then you apply the heating compress. After you have applied the heating compress, then you apply the cold compress. All right, and that's for the swelling of the joints. And the pain will subside and the swelling will also subside. So for pain, you can do the same pain relieving measure by doing the hot and cold. You can do the ginger and the turmeric as well, a fermentation, and or you make a poultice and put that on, and then you wrap it for a little while. You can even, it depends on the area, you can have it overnight. In the morning you get up, you take it off, let it rest for a little while, and you can add the heating compress, and then later on you can add the cold compress. All right, or just run it under the top water, the cold tap water, and put on the area for how long you can take it. It's recommended that we do each of them for about 30 seconds, and that should do it. And then you give it a rest and you do it again. And then you may put the fermentation, that's the wet substance on it, or the poultice on it, and keep it wrapped for maybe a few hours during the day or during the night. Which one works better for you? Stiffness of joints, fermentation again is recommended 3 times a day, and you can also do the heating compress during intervals in between. Alternate articular douche, alternate hot and cold spray to affected joints. So that's the articular douche. So you do hot and cold spray. So they have some things that you use to spray. Some of them bring heat and some of them bring is cold. So you can either do that or you do the hot compress or the cold compress. All right, and that you will give you the relief from the stiffness of the joints. Now, for the dry skin, that is another symptom of the acute muscular rheumatism. So you need to apply a sweating wet sheet pack, and then you do oil rubbing on the skin. Then you do the cold mitten friction, and you can use a cold towel rub as well. You know that they have a thing that they call ice that they put on you. You can use something with something mental in it that is cold. So you can make the mixture and you can stick it in the freezer and let it get cold, and then you can use that. Or you can still do that mixture with some those mental things, and you can either warm it, or you can use the warm castor oil and rub the area, and then you can use the cold thing afterwards and do that rubbing. Something that has a bit of oil in it, which you can use the either olive oil or castor oil. All right. Wet sheet rub and steam bath, hot air bath, electric light bath, and this is with heating from electric lights or electric heater. Or you can do a sun bath, but please be careful when you do the sun bath. Remember now, you're not supposed to stay in the sun for long periods. 20 minutes for the most, especially at in the early time of in the mornings when the sun comes out, that in during that early period, that's before 12, and then you can come out of the sun and you can go back later on, but don't stay for very long periods. All right. And then you're going to want to protect the other parts of your body when you do that. Okay. So remember, we did the sunlight, and if you remember, we stated the times and the periods and so on. So you can go back to that, or you can just do that research to see how long. But when you're going to do the sun bath, remember that you have to protect the other areas as well. All right? Because you don't want to compound the problem, and you don't want to add other stresses to your body. Um, The first step towards salvation is to respond to the drawing of the love of Christ. Christ draws men through the manifestation of his love in order that they may understand the joy of forgiveness and the peace of God. If they respond to his drawing, yielding their hearts to his grace, he will lead them on step by step to a full knowledge of himself. This is eternal life. We are living in the last days, and we need to remember that Jesus is coming soon. And soon is out the window, by the way. His coming is nearer than we first believed. And people will tell you that we have been hearing this and this is happening and that is happening, but he is coming and we have to prepare to meet him. We have to surrender our all to him. By doing this, we have to have a knowledge of who he is so that we can give him the worship that he so deserves. And we need to surrender our lives to him so that he can save us. He cannot save us without us. If we want to be saved, we have to give our lives to him, and we have to give him our all. As I said before, this health program is not just about your physical health, it's a holistic health. It speaks to the spiritual aspect as well. So let us remember that the first step towards salvation is to respond to the drawing of the love of Christ. And he's always drawing us on a daily basis. He speaks to us, he speaks to our hearts and our minds. And he wants to save us because he loves us with an everlasting love. So let us surrender our all to him and respond to his drawings. All right? Respond to his calling. Respond to his love and mercy and grace that he bestows upon us on a daily basis. This is eternal life. This, the time that we live in now, determines our eternal life or eternal death. So let us remember to give our lives to Him because He loves us. We are going to be looking at another aspect under our skeletal muscular system. We have looked at the rheumatism. We have looked at rheumatoid arthritis. Last week we looked at those. We have just completed the acute articular rheumatism and acute muscular rheumatism. Now we're going to be looking briefly at some of the remedies for um, chronic rheumatism. Now, rheumatism, as we looked at it before, we looked at the symptoms of rheumatism, and I'm going to remind you of them: the pain, muscle stiffness, and tenderness in the soft tissue structures, and so on. The afflictions of muscle tendon and joint and bone, and the nerve that results in discomfort and disability from stiffness of the joints or muscles. And this brings on pain upon motion or movement, and so on. And the cause is excess acid that settles in the joints, and this is what causes the pain and the inflammation. Now, poor elimination causes rheumatism. Poor elimination of the excess acid cause rheumatism, and due to toxic matter becoming stagnated in various parts of the body. Now, this is what rheumatism is. Now, we're going to be looking at chronic rheumatism. And for the general care for chronic rheumatism, now it's the same for as the acute. So we have to look at the nutrition. We have to look at the increase of general vital resistance, and the symptoms are the same: the swelling of the joints, the pain, the stiffness of the joints, the dry skin, and contradictions. All of these, it comes with the same symptoms. So what we're going to be looking at is the for the chronic, we are going to be doing more of the sweating baths and the neutral baths, and more cold and hot compresses and fomentation. And we have to remember that we have to drink a lot of water. And this is one of the things that helps to eliminate this excess acid that is in our body. We have to drink a lot of water. And in all of the illnesses that we have, water is a healer. Water plays a vital part. Remember that water is also a part of the 8 laws of health. And it's not just water, it is plenty of water. And this is what we need to do on a daily basis. We need to consume a lot of water. And sadly, there are people who will tell you that they don't drink water. But you need to, because it helps with your joints. Maybe it doesn't affect you right away, but it will definitely affect you later on. All right. Juices and all those sugary drinks and all of that, that's not water. You need to drink pure, clean water on a daily basis. At least 8 glasses of 8 ounce glasses. 8 of the 8 ounce glasses is what you need, and that's the limit. All right, meaning that's the minimal amount. You can drink up to 10, up to 12. So remember that we need to consume a lot of water on a daily basis. And some of the issues that we're having, if we practice proper diet and the 8 laws of health, rest, sunlight, and all the proper nutrition, drinking plenty of water, we won't suffer from these things. And if we come down with any of these diseases, it won't stay with us for long, because maybe sometimes we, mess up on our practices and we pay the consequences. But if we continue to do the things that God tells us to do, He is faithful and just. And he says if we do the things that he says we are to do, the diseases that came upon the Egyptians would not come upon us. So let us be obedient to his words and let us do the things that he says we are to do. As we approach God through the virtue of the Redeemer's merits, Christ places us close to his side, encircling us with his human arm, while with his divine arm he grasps the throne of the infinite. So he never leaves us nor forsake us. He's always there to help us along. And sometimes it is difficult for persons to, to make the adjustments in their diets. But with God's help, you can do it. You will be better for it. You will be healthier for it. All right. Here at Nature's Way, we encourage a change in your lifestyle and your diet. And it will only make you better, healthier, and fitter to do God's work. We're going to also be looking at, as I said, the chronic rheumatism is the same as the acute, similar to the acute rheumatism. It's the same remedies that we use. You just do it more. So you do more fomentation, you do more neutral baths, more sweating baths, no, more hot and cold, and so on. And make sure you drink plenty of water. Water drinking is also one of the remedies that you can use because water heals. All right, so we're going to be looking at, we have a few minutes, we're going to be looking at the sciatica. And this, a lot of us have this issue. And boy, this is an issue that it even causes persons some deformity because when you walk a certain way, it eases the pain, and then you end up walking that way for the rest of your life. There are some simple exercises that we can do, and there are some simple remedies that we can do. And I'm going to be sharing this with some of these with you, and you're going to be so surprised that some of the things that we can do to eliminate this problem. So, the symptoms of sciatica. The sciatic nerve is the largest nerve in the body, yes, and is close to the bottom of each leg. Sciatica is a neurologic pain along the course of the sciatica nerve, which runs down the back of the thigh. It is supposed to be due to inflammation or injury to the nerve that results in pain. It also results in numbness, tingling, and tenderness along the course of the nerve and eventual wasting away of the muscles that are innervated by this malady. With inflammation of the sciatic nerve, there is extreme pain around the hip region and in the lumbar muscles. And yes, I can attest to that because I have felt this pain and I know that it is a sciatica. There are some exercises that you can do, some simple exercises. Crippling pain of the lower extremities has long been blamed on the sciatic nerve, but actually, it is not a nerve problem at all, but it is due to toxic poison from the sigmoid section of the bowel, which is the area going from the descending colon over to the rectal area. Now, this important small section of the intestines is subject to crinks or pockets, which cause toxic poisons in the area and in the leg area, which in turn irritate the sciatic nerve, dislocating the sacral like when the affected part of the it bowel is cleaned out with the lower bowel tonic and cleansing program. Now, the poisons no longer affect the nerve area. And it is when I looked this up, I realized that it has nothing to do with the nerve. We always say we have the sciatica nerve pain, but it has nothing to do with the nerve. And you know what one of the remedies are? One of the remedies is and it is the best remedy according to the research. It says the best remedy is to empty the bowel and cleanse the sigmoid. Now, we at times we go to the bathroom and we say we empty our bowels, but sometimes we never feel as if it's emptied. Now, we have to do things to empty our bowels completely so that these toxins don't go into these areas. So it is a sigmoid section of the bowel. And this is the area going from the descending colon to the rectal area. And this is why you have that pain in the lower back area, and sometimes it goes down to the leg. So this is what affects the sciatic nerve, but it is not really a nerve problem when we have a backed up problem or we need to empty our bowels and cleanse the sigmoid area. So what we can do is use the chaparral herb and the burdock root tea. We can use these to help to eliminate, to empty our bowels. Now, sassafras and braham tea may also be added, and we can use this. Now, this combination makes a delicious drink when sweetened with honey or your sweetener, not sugar, but honey or agave. Those are the preferred sweeteners. For those who don't like the honey, you can use the agave and vice versa. All right? And you do not make sure what you do, you drink this tea and you keep drinking this tea, and it will help you to empty your bowel. Now, bathing the feet in hot apple cider vinegar will also help. And if you wish faster action, place the right foot into a pan of chopped garlic with the bare foot on the garlic. And you know the garlic pulls, it's an antibiotic. And the left foot in the hot apple cider vinegar. So you have one foot, the right foot in a pan with chopped garlic, with your foot on the garlic, directly on the garlic, and the other foot, the left foot, in the hot apple cider vinegar. And this will help with faster action to help to empty your bowels. And this is worth trying. Now, this will start a circulatory movement, which will give quick relief. The internal use of the lemon juice and honey, which you are going to do a spoonful of each 3 times a day. This will speed up the cleansing. And for external fermentation or poultices, use burdock root or crushed burdock leaves with 1/4 part of lobelia added to that. And some other helpful herbs are chaparral, broom or broomweed, burdock, burdock root, rue, sassafras, tansy, and wintergreen. And you can use these herbs as well to help with the elimination of the empty in the bowel. And listeners, viewers, I encourage you to try this so that you can, you know, empty your bowels, cleanse the sigmoid, and you will get relief. So the sciatica nerve is not really a nerve problem. These are the things that add to this condition. So this is very important and very telling as well. So I encourage you, those persons who are suffering from this situation, this sciatica nerve problem, try this method and then you can let us know here on Nature's Way how it works for you and share with a friend. This is all the time I have on this program this evening. I trust that you have listened and have learned something, and I hope that you will remember that God is our creator. He is our redeemer, our friend. He wants to save us. And the only way he can save us if we want to be saved and we allow him to save us. Let us surrender our all to him and let us be obedient to his words, because after all, he wishes above all things that we may prosper and be in health, even as our souls prosper. Have a productive week. It is goodbye from Nature's Way. Until next Sunday, please stay healthy.
I am the God that healeth thee. I am the Lord, your healer. And I sent my word, and I healed your disease. I am the Lord, your healer. This is his word. I am the God